some ethnic groups of Bandundu. The names of ethnic groups are preceded by Ba, which comes from Ben. Bayaka comes from Hebrew word Benyakan, ancestors from whom the Israelites camped after leaving Moseroth. Bambala comes from Hebrew word Ben Bala, meaning mountain of Judah. Basuku comes from Hebrew word Ben Sukkot, the first camp of Israelites in the desert after that of Ramses in Egypt. Bayanshi comes from Hebrew word Bayashen, meaning sleeper, one of King David's valiant men. Besini or Betende comes from Hebrew word Besin, meaning dwarf palm. Batiki comes from Hebrew word Betikao, means city of Judah, not far from Engedi. Sheila comes from Hebrew word Sihla, chosen, meaning flank, town allocated to Benjamin. The bones of Saul and Jonathan were transported to Sela. Boma comes from Hebrew word Bama, high place, Israel's settlement in the desert. Luzi comes from Hebrew word Luz, a town 7 kilometers from Banias. Inkisi comes from the Hebrew word Kishi, name of a Levite. Sonabata comes from Hebrew word Nibat, officer of Solomon, father of Jeroboam. Bandaka, of his true pronunciation Manaka. Manaka comes from Hebrew word Manakat, located 5 kilometers south of Jerusalem, where Benjamites of Geba were deported by members of other tribes. Gimina comes from Hebrew word Wimana, meaning the Lord has completed, name of the ambassador of Zedekiah, king of Judah, sent to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. Abuzi comes from Hebrew word Buzi, father of Ezekiel. Bengala comes from Hebrew word Begalad, meaning endurance and rigor, son of Nakir, grandson of Manasseh, who founded the clan. Buza comes from Hebrew word Buz, descendant of Gad, founder of a clan. Begwandi comes from Hebrew word Bei Angari and Angari. Ituri comes from Hebrew word Ituri, Itoria or Ituria, city of Palestine conquered by the Israelites. Mountainous region northeast of Palestine, west of Damascus, placed under the control of Jews by King Aristobulus around 100 BC. Uele comes from Hebrew word Uel, Lawa, will of God, son of Bani. Bunia comes from Hebrew word Buna. Isiro comes from Hebrew word Yisero, Yiseri, Levite, head of the 4th class of the sacred cantors. Kivu comes from Hebrew word Kivroth, meaning tomb of covertfulness, place where Israelites were struck with a wound because of covertfulness. The word is also in the form of Iva or Ava, which means ruin. Or Bukavu comes from Hebrew word Kavo, means gauge or city of Asher. Kindu comes from Hebrew word Kindon, meaning javelin or area where Uzzah fell when he was struck by the Lord. Goma or Boma comes from Hebrew word Bama, high place, settlement of Israel in the desert. Uvira comes from Hebrew word Havilah. Baraka comes from Hebrew word Biraka, Barak, lightning. Lightning Barak also means divine blessing, the name of a Benjamite. Rega comes from Hebrew word Rohiga, descendant of Asher, of family of Beria. Bashi plural of Mushi, comes from Hebrew word Minon, Levite, son of Merida, founder of a clan. Zimba comes from Hebrew word Zimma or Zimah, intention, Levite, grandson of Yahath. Shaba, name of the pharaoh of So or Seve, the one to whom Hosea the prophet asked for help against the Assyrians. Kolwezi comes from Hebrew word Luweziel. Panda comes from Hebrew word Padan or Padan, Nathaniel family which returned with Ezra. The word Panda in Bambala means redemption, as in Hebrew, Lupanda among the Luba. Lundas comes from Hebrew word Laud, people placed in the ranks of Semites, people related to the Egyptians. Kasai comes from the word Saiso in Egypt, where it means delta, and Sudan, Sai, has taken other forms such as Misai, Menzasai, and has even kept its form Sai and Orso in other countries. Kananga comes from Hebrew word Kanana, trader woman of Canaan, Benjamite of the family of Yediel. Mai comes from Hebrew word Mai, water. It is the same word in Lingala, a language spoken in Kinshasa, Brazzaville, Bandaka, Guimena. It is also the same word in Shiluba, language spoken in two provinces of Kasai and in the province of Shaba. Kabinda comes from Hebrew word Abindan. Abidan means judge, leader of Benjamin's tribute in the wilderness, his father's name Gidoni. LUBA comes from Hebrew word Luban, between Jerusalem and Shechem, 5 kilometers north of Silo. Mutatila comes from Hebrew word Mutashela, but in Hebrew the vowels are not present, so the word still Mutatila. Bekuba comes from Hebrew word Kuba, people closely linked to the Lauds, Puts, and Ethiopians. Geographically, the Lumas, Bekubas, and Beputu are close to each other on several plains in Zaire. Kabasili comes from Hebrew word called Kabsil, city in the extreme south of Judah, one of the David's heroes. Daya comes from Hebrew word Dayan or Dahan. Ziba comes from Hebrew word Ziba and means sacrifice, king of the Lord Gideon Tau. Zebele comes from Hebrew word Zebede, means Lord give, name of the father of James. Mushi Pai comes from Hebrew word Mushi. Gabon comes from Hebrew word Gabon, means quoted from a hill, name given to the territory assigned to Benjamites. Ogue, name given to a province and the river. It comes from a Hebrew word Guel, Lawag, which means majesty of God. It is the name of the spy of the god. Them, name of a province of the country. It comes from the Hebrew word Tima, founder of a family of Netanians whose members returned with Zerubbabel to the land of Judah. Betiki comes from Hebrew word Betikau. This is a name given to the tribe of President Bongo. Tanzania comes from Hebrew word Jazania, Yaazaya or Yaazayahu, the Lord listens, grandson of Habasinia, whose name corresponds to Abyssinia. Harucha comes from Hebrew word Chashaw, dumb Israelite who returned with Zerubbabel. Dar es Salaam comes from Hebrew word dar and salam. Dar, stroke weapon smaller than spear. Salam, land of rest like Jerusalem.